Go ahead and start.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, and we'd like to welcome you to our webinar today to speak about family law matters in the context of divorce. My name is Bill Love, and I'm a FVLS and tax partner with Briggs and Veselka. A little bit about my background. I spent 23 years as KPMG, both as an audit partner and a tax partner. And then after those 23 years, I opened my own firm and have been working and worked for almost 26 years there, specializing in tax and in family law matters, more specifically in tracing and characterization issues and valuation issues. I'm not only a CPA, but an ABV and a CFF. So we look forward to sharing today with you. And I was going to ask an associate of mine, Berea Jarudi, if she would now introduce herself.
Thanks, Bill, and welcome everyone. My name is Berea Chirudi. I'm a senior manager at the firm. I have been with the firm for a little bit over 7 years. I do have an interesting background. I was a Montessori teacher for about 10 years before I became a CPA. I've been doing this work for about 10 years. And I currently serve on NACVA. Those of you who don't know what NACVA is, it's a National Association of Certified Valuators and Analysts. I do serve on their grading team for the CVA designation. I'm also part of their faculty for the current update and valuation. I'm also on the editorial board for today's CPA's magazine. And thank you all for being here. With that, I'll turn it over to Bill.
So thank you again. So today what we want to share with you is the technological capabilities we have that we use when we're doing our work in the family law area, and how we approach it and how we can streamline asset tracing and characterization needs. Given where we are today with COVID-19 and what we probably consider as a new normal for a working environment, we believe that it's really important that we're able to function technologically and provide the work even on a remote basis. We're very we also think that sensitivity to cost is very important. And so I think what you're going to see today is we're going to be able to share that we have developed platforms and skills that allow us to do that. And we again thank you for the time. And you can see on the agenda the types of things that we're gonna talk about. So what I'd like to say is, why now? Why is this so important? So I'm going to ask Berea to share with you why it is now.
Yeah, so why would a technology-based approach make sense for family lawyers and family law matters? So with the COVID-19 impact, we have reviewed several commentaries from family lawyers that expect a surge in divorce filing due to the forced proximity during the quarantine. This forced quarantine actually heightened the divorce probability and the process. So how does that impact businesses and individuals? This is not only impacting divorce, but it's impacting how we work as professionals. We did a survey at our firm recently, and the survey was, do you prefer to work 100% in the office, remote, or would you like to have a hybrid schedule? And it's very interesting that 35% respondents prefer to work remote the entire time. So with this changing lifestyle, people are now more than ever before reliant on technology. And with the economic impact, now people are more cost conscious. So in our world, there's a higher demand and greater need to make better use of technology and to do what we do in a more efficient and cost-effective way. With that, I'll turn it over to Bill.
As Berea has mentioned, we do have a new normal, and what we want to share with you is we at B&V have you covered in regard to that, and specifically we use technological based skills to work on the tracing areas. We have been doing this for some time, and we continue to develop the skill set and uh, the degree of authenticity. It's proven to be time to save time, to be cost effective, and also is proven to give a not quality work and what we think is even a better level of quality work than when you're doing it on a manual basis. And then more specifically, I think you'll find that this has a cost savings both for the attorneys and their clients. And we believe that this is a significant selling point uh, to what we have to offer in the marketplace. So we're going to begin to walk through some of these technology aspects, and we're going to begin with bank statement tracing, and we're going to cover really three aspects today: statement tracing, brokerage statement tracing, as well as characterization of expenses with regard to reimbursements and waste claims. So with that, I'm going to ask Berea if she would begin to share with us some more of the details so you can have a better understanding of how we go about this and the process.
Thanks, Bill. So when it comes to bank statements tracing, the data entry can be very time consuming and can be very costly. You can imagine if you have several years of bank statements and monthly statements, how time consuming that would be. However, that is not the bricks and Vasilka way. We're able to use a platform that would convert the PDF to Excel file. So when you're looking at a bank statement, what data do you need? You need to look at the beginning and ending balances, credit, debits. You need to look at the description, the type of the transaction, and it's very important to be able to locate the transaction in a certain document and a certain page number within a document. Now, I want to emphasize how important that is because this provides a huge assistance to counsel to being able to locate a specific transaction within a PDF. And you all know when you're working in litigation cases, the documents volume can be overwhelming. So this way, we're able to have control of the data.
As Berea mentioned, efficiency is the B&V way, and we want to be efficient, and that's why we've chosen to partner on this platform. And so the use of this platform provides us a secure way to work with this sensitive data. We're able to take that data and upload it very easily and get it into Excel format and to turn it around very quickly. And what that provides us with the opportunity to use our skills of the analytical part of the process as opposed to the manual input part of the process. And so Berea is going to share with you a little bit of the example of how we would do that and give you a sort of a mind's eye view of what you would see when you get the end product.
So when we do the conversion from PDF to Excel, there's a very important step that we do before we start working with the data, and that is reconciliation. And the reason we do that is we want to make sure that we're working with accurate data set and we have a complete data set. And that is very important in what we do. Once we do the reconciliation, then we're ready to use the data in our tracing template. So this is how the conversion looks like. So when we get it back in an Excel format, we get it back to what document name it is in, what page number. And in addition to all the other information that we need, we do here, as you see, we do reconciliation where we make sure that there's no transactions that are missing, there's no discrepancy in the data, and we have completeness verified before we start our analysis.
Let me add a couple of comments there. I think as you look at that example, I think what's important, as each of you know, when you're doing tracing, one of the requirements of tracing is that you do it on a line-by-line basis. And so that's what's important. And not only does this template help us to do a detailed tracing, but we can use several methods. We can use the community out first method. We could do a minimum sum method. We could do a clearinghouse method, or sometimes called a closeness in time method. So we can use all those methods prescribed by the family code, and this template or this process that we do allows us to do that. So we found that to be very effective in dealing with it. So Bria, continue on with some of more of the details of the tracing.
Thanks, Bill. So within our tracing template, we do check beginning and ending balances again for accuracy, and we use filtering to help mark community versus separate transactions. Now, the really interesting thing about the way we do it, we do have several control checks in the process. So this is how the tracing template looks like. What one of the control checks we have, we do make sure that the separate and the community together make a whole of the estate, of the balance, of the cash balance. Another check we have is sometimes you do need to move certain transactions uh, in the template, and we still make sure that our ending balances and beginning balances still tie to the bank statement. So we can see that here. And that is very important in what we do because accuracy really impacts the credibility of our product.
Thank you, Maria. Now we want to talk a little about a characterization of expenses, and specifically what I'm referring to there is, all of you are familiar with, is reimbursement claims and waste claims. And we know there are defined reimbursement claims within the Texas Family Code. And so with this same platform that we use, where we've got everything converted into Excel in a format that we can work with, we can identify various types of things. We can categorize expenses. We can isolate cash withdrawals. We can identify where there may be excessive expenses to specific vendors and things of that nature, including airline tickets, hotels, jewelry purchases, all those things that would normally fall under the a reimbursement claim or potentially a waste claim. And so we find that to be very helpful. And as we look at this next slide, this is an actual case that we have worked on, and where it we've just identified 2012, where we went back for a number of years. But in the next example, which Bria is going to share with you, we even went further than that. So you can see the flexibility of the process here when we have the data in the right format.
Yeah, so when we're doing this, we're really relying on technology as much as possible. So in these two slides that we just shared with you, we really try to stay as much away from the manual input as much as possible. So all of these are actually, we do use Excel technology to be able to extract these metrics and this data, and we can have what we're looking for in a more efficient way.
The other thing that's so significant here is, once we get this in this form, this is a good example of, we can take this and drop it straight into our report in various forms, whether it's a detailed schedule or whether it's in picture form. We can put it right into the report. So, you know, the use of this technology allows us to do multiple things and to accomplish multiple objectives when we're using it. So that kind of summarizes the first two things we were going to speak to today, both bank tracing and characterization of expenses. Now we'd like to show you what we do use another platform. It's a different platform to do brokerage tracing. Now, brokerage tracing is far more difficult in gathering the data as opposed to bank statements or credit cards. And just as a side point, we can use the same technology to track credit card expenses, et cetera. So I'm going to ask Maria to go through the details of how we go about doing brokerage tracing, because it is significantly different and requires more attention to some of the details that are required.
Thanks, Bill. So when we're looking at broker statements, what data do we need from these statements? We need to look at transactions that affect cash balances, like cash dividends, reinvested dividends, capital gain, fees, interest, etc. We need to look at transactions that affect equity balance. We need to look at the beginning securities owned with the company name. And we need to look at the beginning and ending balances for cash and equity to ensure the data pulled is complete. So let's have a hypothetical example. If we have a client that has 5 brokerage accounts and we're looking at 3 years of monthly statements, and every statement has about 50 transactions that need to be extracted. Assuming each account had a similar level of activity, if you do the math, that's about 9,000 rows of data. Now, let's assume this is done manually and you put 1 minute. It takes a staff to have to put in 1 minute per transaction. This is about 150 hours. I mean, this can be very, very time consuming and very expensive. So like we said, you know, the manual entry is not the B&V way. So what we've done, we were able to leverage a platform that our audit department has been using for many, many years. The firm has been using this platform and it's been tested and it's been verified. So we've leveraged that platform for the brokerage statements. So what that platform does, it reads the PDF. And as you all know, when you're looking at a broker statement, it is not the same format like when you're looking at a bank statement. Certain pages are different. So it looks at what format we're looking for, and it's able to convert that format within that document, whether that document is 10 pages or 200 pages. It's able to convert that format on that document to Excel. And I'm going to show you how that would look like. So let's assume this is a broker statement we're looking at, and this platform identify the headings and what we're looking for in the statement, and then it reads it as a text data. From here, it will convert everything that has this type of format to Excel. And I cannot emphasize enough what time saving that would be when you're able to have that in Excel already, and all you need to do is copy it and paste it into your template. That is a lot of cost savings and time savings as well. Bill?
Again, with regard to brokerage savings, if you look at this example, that's we sort of trap all these things to get it to the right thing. So it's kind of an interesting process, and it so you have to really analyze it to get it there. Another thing that's really important here is in the process of tracing, we have to track stocks, you know, stock symbols, and so we have to look at the detailed transactions within the stocks, whether they're community, separate, buys, sells, exchanges. And with this platform, we're able to extract that and do that. So for instance, a good example is that if you're going to track a stock, we have a report here that would show, okay, we're going to tracking BlackRock. It gives us the date, the type of sale transaction, the quantity, the per unit amount of proceeds. You know, additionally, it would have whether that's community or separate. We're just showing this piece of it. But this is very effective, and it certainly takes a lot of the manual work out of it and allows us to do that. So it's become a very effective tool to be able to use when doing brokerage tracing. Maria, why don't you speak to the template here and some of the things that have to be done?
All right. So in the tracing template, the brokerage statement tracing is a little different than the cash the bank account tracing. So once data is cleaned up, we copy it into the tracing template. And again, we're able to filter it whether it's community or separate. However, the most important aspect here that we do have control checks again in process to make sure that the cash balance and the equity balance together equal the whole, and we don't have any discrepancy. Now, the nice thing about having these control checks in process on a line-by-line item, if we do have any error or any discrepancy in the analysis, we're able to locate that right where this discrepancy is, instead of looking for, where's that thing, something is not adding up. So we're able to locate it, and again, using all the technology tools that we have allows us to do that. So,
So in summary, we've covered these three things, and so if we could summarize a little bit here, we've summarized, we've talked about bank tracing, we've talked about brokerage tracing, and we've talked about characterization of expenditures in the context of reimbursement claims and waste claims. So we've become very efficient with this technology. We think we're one of the few, if not the only firm who has developed these skills using this technology. And what I'd like to share with you here is we believe that we can be price sensitive here, and what we're looking to do is the gathering of data, the getting the data to the point that we can use it. We're going to be looking to fix fee that piece of the work. So if you have a 5-year trace or a 10-year trace or 15, the initial gathering of data, we're going to be able to just put a fixed fee on that. And then the analysis of the data, when we have to look at characterization issues, et cetera, then that would be on an hourly basis. But we think this approach is very sensitive to fees, and it's helpful to the clients and try to keep the costs down. Berea, you want to make a couple of comments here?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So what I would like to add is for the bank tracing, if it's a clean PDF copy, that means it's generated from the bank, we usually get that back within 24 hours, the same day. If it's a scanned copy, it takes a little bit longer, but it takes about a couple days only. We'll get that back in Excel. Now, when it comes to brokerage statements, it's a little bit different. If it's a clean copy, we're able to do that using the platform that we use internally. However, if it's a scanned brokerage copy, unfortunately, that has to be a manual input because the platform would not be able to read that. So this is the only limitation here when it comes to brokerage accounts.
So in conclusion, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to share today, but we are very focused on the things that we have mentioned here on this slide: transparency, accuracy, quality, speed, completeness, and we're very results oriented and cost effective. I would like to say that both in Austin and in Houston we have a bench that of people that have got a lot of experience doing this, and we think that we're at the forefront of this technology in being able to do this type of work. If anybody has any specific questions, we'd certainly welcome to have those questions. But what I do want to say is that we thank you for the time you've spent with us today. We recognize that all of you are very busy professionals, and it's always difficult sometimes to take time to do this, but we're very appreciative of it. As you see, you've got our contact information on the screen, and we would welcome the opportunity to visit with you on any of these issues, or welcome the opportunity to assist you in any family law matters that you may have. Berea?
Thanks, Bill. What I would like to add, if any of you would like to have a one-on-one discussion about this, and maybe you'd like to have a closer look about how we do it, and would be more than glad to schedule a time with you. And again, thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, let me add one more thing as to what Maria said. If if you would like for us to make a presentation to your firm, and we'd be happy to come and make that presentation and have a conversation and interaction about how we do this, because I think you would find it that most helpful. So again, um, I don't see any open questions at this time. We thank you again for your time, and we wish you the very best for the remaining part of your day, and please stay safe. Thank you.